All right, guys, what is going on? Welcome into episode 5 of the Draft Profile series. We're going to be taking a look at different draft prospects, right? Different guys that the Jets could be targeting. The draft's right around the corner, and we got to do our due diligence on these players. So this episode is going to be about Jeudy, okay? Jeudy from Alabama, the highly trained assassin in the art of wide receiving, right? Under the guidance and the tutelage of one Nicholas Saban. Standing at 6'1", around 195 pounds, Jeudy is no joke. No joke. Absolute stud. And you guys know this. You guys have probably seen the videos floating around on Instagram and on Twitter of Jeudy just making guys, D1 SEC athletes, look like they don't know how to play football, right? Opposing defensive backs, corners. His route running ability is special. It's so smooth. And got to be 100% honest with you, when I watch Jeudy on tape, he reminds me exactly of Davante Adams of the Green Bay Packers, right? And I'm talking about Davante Adams now, not when he was coming out of Fresno. Now, very, very, very special wide receiver. I look around the league, I would probably say around 20 to 25 teams in the league, he'd probably be a top 2 wide receiver on the squad, on the entire team. That's how good of an athlete, that's how good of a wide receiver this guy is, right? Former national champion, former Biletnikoff award winner, former 2-time first team SEC back in 2018 and, of course, 2019. Guys, the guy's the real deal. And I know it's kind of this, I don't want to call it a war, but just kind of like a friendly argument between Jeudy fans and CeeDee Lamb fans. I think the one big misconception that's being thrown around out there is if your team Lamb is your #1 wide receiver, or team Jeudy is, as he's the #1 wide receiver, it's you hate the other one, and those guys are not on the same level. But I actually find it, I kind of relate it back to, I think it was the 2011 draft when both Julio Jones and AJ Green were coming out of college, out of Georgia and Alabama respectively. It's one of those situations where both guys are going to be the real deal. Both guys are going to be #1 wide receivers, and both guys are going to immediately impact the teams that they get drafted by, okay? Of course, barring any injury, barring any crazy off-the-field incident, these guys are the real deal, okay? Just like Julio was, just like AJ Green was. You can kind of go with either or. The Bengals obviously got a fantastic player, and will probably go down in Bengals history, right? And for the Falcons, Julio Jones is an arguable, you can make the argument he's going to go to the Hall of Fame. That's how dominant of a player he was. You wouldn't look at the Bengals and say, oh my God, what kind of pick was that? They messed up. They should have took Julio Jones, because you're happy with AJ Green. And granted, he's, struggled with some injuries, but coming out of Georgia, comparing the two as draft prospects, you could not go wrong with either guy. Same situation here. I look at CeeDee Lamb, I look at Jeudy to make instant impacts from day one. And looking at the teams and really the teams in front of the New York Jets, so the top 10 and then the Jets at 11, and even the Raiders and the Niners behind the Jets, who I feel like are huge candidates for both players. I look at both Lamb and Jeudy as stepping in and being the #1 guy on pretty much all those teams outside of Arizona. And of course, like Odell Beckham Jr., but outside of Arizona because they added DeAndre Hopkins. So the point I'm getting at is that whoever takes these guys, whoever takes Jeudy, whoever takes CeeDee Lamb is going to get an instant star right out of the gate, right out of the bat. So what makes Jeudy so good? And I touched on it before. The trait that everybody wants to talk about, that everybody knows about Jeudy, is his route running abilities, just like Davante Adams. These guys aren't 6'4", 6'5", physical, imposing wide receivers, right? They're not like a DK Metcalf. They're not like a Julio Jones or a Megatron. These guys have to rely on creating separation from themselves and the cornerback, them from the DBs. That's how, that's how they make their money, right? Creating that separation. And interestingly enough, that's probably, of course, outside of hands, right, catching, probably the most important trait a wide receiver can possess is being able to separate from the best of the best. Because if you can separate, if you could get the best corners in the league away from you, all the quarterback has to do is just put it where you can catch it, right? Leading the wide receivers. And kind of like I said before, and yes, you could kind of push back and say, well, hold on just a second here. Jerry Jeudy had Tua Tagovailoa throwing him the football. He's going to be a top 5 draft pick. He's going to be the real deal as well. Is it all on Tua? Well, I'll say, and to, kind of combat that argument, I mean, Jerry Jeudy's a guy who absolutely has dominated for 2 years, and then he did play his freshman year for Alabama, right? To come in as a true freshman and to play, I think that's such an underrated thing. And I've talked about it with a couple of these guys here that we've been talking about. To come in as a true freshman, right? So you're 18 or 19 years old and you walk into a dominant program who can, will always get 4- and 5-star athletes year after year after year, a ton of players at your position, to come in and just leapfrog all of them and make an impact. That's pretty big, that's big time. But he didn't really burst onto the scene until 2018. Of course, when he won the award, the Blitnikoff Award, which is the award for the top receiver in the nation. Like I said, this is a dude who's instantly going to give an offensive coordinator, give the head coach creativity, explosiveness, speed, route running ability, and, hands, catching ability right from the get-go, right from the get-go. He's instantly going to upgrade an offense. So bottom line is this. Well, before I kind of get into my, how I like the Jets, how I feel like the Jets would do if they, my reaction if the Jets would get him. The one con I have with Jeudy, the one question mark, is I don't know how he's going to do with the bigger, more physical corners that aren't afraid of wide receivers, that aren't really afraid of getting burned, guys that are really going to press Jeudy and get up in his grill on the line of scrimmage. I look at a guy like Jalen Ramsey, more so with the scheme with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Obviously he's a Ram now, but cornerbacks like that, defensive schemes like that, where you have cornerbacks that aren't afraid, that have been doing this for a long time, guys that won't be afraid to get a little physical, right, with Jeudy. How is he going to kind of handle that? Because that was something in college that nobody really pressed him on. Everybody kind of knew, and by everybody I mean corners and defensive coordinators and safeties, everybody kind of knew Jeudy was the real deal. So they didn't want to press him. They didn't want to try him too much. They kind of wanted to play it safe, which is understandable. But, as we all know, the NFL is a whole new game, right? You're playing with grown men as opposed to, 20, 21, 22-year-old kids. So bottom line is this. I would love Jeudy on the New York Jets. I think he would instantly help out Sam Darnold. He would instantly be the #1 wide receiver in this room, especially considering we lost Robbie Anderson. I think he is a good fit for the Gase system. I don't think he's an excellent fit. I think Lamb is more of a better scheme fit for what Gase wants to do, what Loggins wants to do on offense, than a Jerry Jeudy. I feel like Judy's a guy who can kind of create on his own, more of a fit for a West Coast style of system. I think his perfect fit would be with the Niners and the the Las Vegas Raiders. I also think he would do well with the Chargers, but he's not going to go at spot number 6, and they don't really need a wide receiver, but just kind of looking at offensive systems and whatnot. But the Raiders, the Niners, if he goes to either of those two teams, also the Colts, he's going to dominate. He's going to blow up really quick. So that's my thoughts on Jeudy. I would love him. He would instantly help out this team in a major way. So let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section regarding Jerry. Do you like him? Do you not like him? And, of course, why? So thanks so much for watching. And as always, go Jets.